Good morning, everyone. Right? So finally, some hotels on stage. I'm very happy about that. Yesterday we had a roundtable about hotel and hotel business, and we happened to talk about different arguments which we will touch during our conversation. My first question, since our panel is titled Leadership in Complex Time. And the first question is straightforward. What do you believe is the most complex issue currently facing the hotel industry? Is staff shortage, rising cost, managing growth, or pursuing technological and digital innovation?
Or all the above, no? I guess. No, I think that I'd like to say that it's true. We live in a very complex time right now, but everything is relative, no? 2 years ago, today's would have seemed like very, very easy, no? Obviously, we are a lot of these things are a consequence of what happened during COVID times. We obviously are living in a world where there's high inflation, where there's still places we haven't yet recovered that, and obviously costs are rising. I would say that personally, the biggest challenge we're having is on talent. Talent is what we find. I think on the other tools, we see a very strong demand. I mean, clearly, travel and hospitality has climbed a number of positions towards where people like to spend their money. And I think that it's always been high on the list, but now consistently in research, and we're seeing in the demand, it's number 2. So basically, most of our disposable income of our guests goes to travel. So I think that increases in prices that we've seen, plus all the hotels change, making our own homework, trying to source more locally, be more efficient on our processes, we can cope on the inflation and on the cost. But on the talent shortage, I think is one of the most significant challenges we've done. For us, the way to overcome that is try to sell what I believe it's true, and what we all in the industry believe is true, which is this is a very special industry. So hospitality, we as a company, Hyatt, we are a company with purpose. Sorry. Now better? Now better? Yeah?
Right.
I'll speak up otherwise. So we are a company with purpose. Our purpose is to make that our colleagues, customers, and owners can be at their best, and that's what we focus on. I think that we have as an industry a challenge to convince that this is a long-term industry, a fantastic industry, for me the best industry in the world, and where we deliver experiences to our customers, which in other industries that's not something what you can do. But it's a challenge, and we try to overcome obviously with the right packages, with the right accommodations, but also with a long-term career in one of the most exciting industries in the world.
So the research of talent for Javier. For you, Raúl?
First of all, probably I was thinking about the complex times, no? And I want to differentiate complex to difficult times, because I think that we receive many messages with a negative impact, no? Obviously, we have the pandemic, the COVID period. After the COVID, we have the war. After the war, all the media, all the news that we receive was a big recession. I remember last year, 1 year ago, all the people was talking about a big recession. And I say, I don't know, but the bookings, the reservation that we have on the bookings is much better than the previous year, and probably much better than 2019. I think that we must work more with data, because I want to say to you that it's important that we have our own opinion. And many times I see that we don't have our opinion. We have the opinion that we receive from many different impacts. I think why the world now is more complex. I think probably because everything is changing very quickly. That's right. Technology is a problem or is an opportunity? Because we have much better tools than we have in the past. I think that I want to send a message of optimism. We are in a sector that, thanks God, the people want to travel more than ever before. I think that the trends for the future, I think that are quite positive. And I think the more difficult point probably will be the talent, the people, because everything is changing very quickly. And at the same time, I think that we must to learn to work with a lot of stress. This speed of the changes, I think that create to the people more difficulties because they feel that they don't have the control of this. Everything is changing. But I think that with the right people, we have all the tools for try to do much better.
So you do agree that the search of the talent in this moment is a people business. I do agree. You started to talk about the current situation, which is my second question. How long do you think the current situation will last? In this moment, a hotel room in a prime destination, it's experienced fluctuation like similar to stock market. Like you have a room in your hand, and it can value from 100 euro to 1,000 euro. The demand is pushing prices really beyond their actual value. How long you think it will start? How long you think this situation will stay?
Well, I think that based on history, if we refer on real estate prices for this, I think that obviously there's already an adjustment coming from high prices on real estate have been a combination of different factors. Appetite from a number of investors that they were not before, and Raúl and myself, we haven't experienced that in our growth in EAME. So we've helped some of the investors that were not present, for instance, in the leisure market. We've worked with them to show them how good of an industry and how good of a asset class it is. But this was combined with a moment where there was almost free debt, and therefore it was easy to buy. That made the prices to go up on real estate. I think that's already an adjustment because right now we have very high interest rates, we have shortage of debt, and some of these investors that were trying to find opportunities, those are not there anymore. So we're going to be a slowdown on the real estate prices. On the room prices, on the other side, we have a very strong demand. I mean, we continue to see very robust bookings in leisure, in corporate, some areas in the world. Q1 last year, Germany was closed. I mean, it's not that far ago. China, we're seeing that a recovery, not only in the local market, but also in the outbound market to Europe. So I think that on that, it can change very quickly, but we're going to see still a period of high prices. There's also a macro trend or a structural change is that distribution has changed. So before, and if we talk, for instance, in leisure, the hotel rooms were sold many months in advance to tour operators at a fixed price who are the ones connecting. This has changed. Now we're moving all the big chains. We're becoming one of our big strengths to convince owners is our distribution capabilities, our loyalty programs, our ability to do revenue management. So that's gonna be that we're gonna be protecting that ADR for a long time, but also things can change quickly as there's really a slow down in demand. Are we seeing that? Not yet.
Not yet. Raúl.
I remember in 2012, I traveled to London for talking with financial investors. And the first question was, which is your business? I say, hotels. We have city hotel, leisure hotel, but we are more focused on leisure and more in Mediterranean area and particularly in Spain. And the investors say, I don't like hotels, I don't like leisure hotels, I don't like Spanish market. And I come back to Mallorca with a not very successful trip. In 2014, and probably a little bit earlier, the people start to talk about leisure hotels, and the people say, I want to invest in leisure hotel. We create a REIT, SUSIMI, that we call in Spain with Azora, and we sold our leisure hotels to the vehicle, and a few years later, all the financial investors want to invest in hotels. And when I talk with the financial guys, they say, I don't like hotels because you have many employees, and employees is a problem. I prefer offices, I prefer residential, I prefer logistics, but hotels, well, it's very complicated. And say, but if you sign offices and the tenant cannot pay the rent, it's much more difficult than if we try to sell for many thousands of people every day. Say, no, we don't want to buy hotels. And if you analyze the situation, the yield that the investors asked for hotels was more or less 100 to 200 basic points ahead the rest of the asset class in the real estate. In 2020, when all the COVID arrived, all the hotels closed, I talk with financial investors, and they say, we are ready to invest with you and to buy hotels. And the idea that we had at that time was the prices of the hotels will be clearly lower because the risk premium was higher because we have a risk that before was not in our radar. Second, probably the cash flow that we can obtain at the hotels for the following years will be clearly lower. But the prices of the hotels had not adjusted. And when I talk with the financial people, say, no, Raúl, I think the main reason is the interest rate is very low, and we must invest in any asset class. But now the interest rate is rising, but still the hotel price is very high. Probably the appetite, like Javier had explained, is clearly much more. Probably we have more liquidity. I have mentioned several times. For me, years ago was a big surprise. When I go to the UK, I go to an hotel in the middle of nowhere. In English you say countryside, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And the people have transactions. They sell and buy hotels. But the same hotel in Tenerife, nobody wants to buy. Say, why one hotel in the middle of nowhere in the UK, the people sell and buy, have liquidity, but in Spain, no. And I think probably we have now much more people that want to buy. The financial investors are looking for leisure hotels in the Spanish market. And probably we have some issues with the legal size of the hotel, and probably now is a little bit much better, not perfect. But I think probably the perception is that the future of our activity is very positive. I think that Javier had mentioned China. You must think that China represents more than 10% of the total market for international travelers, and it's closed at the moment. It's not closed, but it's near to close. And I think India at the moment is a very small market, but can be a potential market.
Let's say your real reply is this situation is gonna stay for a while.
I think so.
A few years.
Yes, but being prudent and knowing, and we have.
Of course, we have
things change very quickly. At the end of the day, there's a lot of. It's an industry that has shown a very big resilience because many industries wouldn't survive to a big discontinuity like we had. But also changes that affect mobility or can have an impact. So moderate optimist.
All right. My next question is that obviously the tourist market in cities and destinations across Europe especially is currently experiencing levels of activity that surpass the pre-COVID statistics. This resurgence has reignited the discussion surrounding over-tourism and the regulation required to ensure sustainable tourism development. What is your perspective in this issue? Talks are back that city are full of people, and then a lot of discussion back about the possibility for alternative accommodation to have a limit on that. So what do you think about that? We are even bad. I mean, the situation is really worse in some cities than before COVID.
Well, I think that there's obviously, it varies country by country, destination by destination, but I think that, and this is something Raúl and myself, where Raúl lives in Mallorca, I've spent a lot of time in Mallorca, we know very well the situation there, and it's been very clear that alternative accommodation has brought a lot of the volume that is not properly regulated. So one of the things that we've been lobbying as an industry is that the same level of control and regulation and health and safety that we do as hoteliers, that also needs to be equivalent or parallel. Otherwise, you get a lot of respecting, obviously, that at the end of the day, the customer is the king and decides where to go, but we need to fight with the same amount of tools. In our experience, I think that what we're doing as an industry and Hyatt personally as a company is move towards high-end experience, luxury, not quantity but quality. And at the end of the day, I think that this is where most destinations want to migrate. The transformation we saw in 2014 and 15 with, I think that is half of the hotels in the island were refurbished or repositioned at the time or something like that. So think about it, it's like a huge transformation. I think that that's where we want to drive the industry. Exactly. It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Raúl, your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think the alternative accommodation, I think that made a lot of sense. I think that it's good for the market. The people must choose. But for me, the unique consideration is that we must work with the same rules. It's difficult when you have many rules, many laws that have restrictions, and other competitors have another way to do business. No? It's quite complicated. I think that the market is growing, and for everybody must be positive, have different alternatives. But I absolutely agree with Javier that the future for us, for the hotel industry, is to create a particular experience. If we only sell accommodation, we are a very clear commodity. I explained to my team, I want to sell happiness. Happiness is much more ambitious, is much more high level, and is completely different like alternative accommodation.
I like that. I want to sell happiness. I like.
Yeah, and there are, I mean, just obviously there's a more niche segments, but if you go into lifestyle wellness, we have brands and hotels where we have higher non-room revenue than room revenue, and that's the experience that you can create around the resort, right. And that's possible and that's true. This is not for everybody, but
Giancarlo, look, if we sell only accommodation and it's a commodity, the unique or the basic strategy that you can have is to reduce cost. Mm-hmm. You must be very efficient in cost, and will be very difficult to compete versus alternative accommodation.
Sure. We're running short enough time. We have the last 3 minutes. And the question is the one that we discussed for 1 hour yesterday in our roundtable about hospitality. It's evident that we cannot ignore the elephant in the room, which is AI. And as an hotelier myself, I'm asking, and I'm asking to you, where it will change the way we do business. It will change the way we do marketing, it will change the way we do revenue, it will change the way we interact with clients. Where do you see, and what are you doing right now? Are you thinking to invest in the new technology, and exactly where is going to happen in hotel business?
We are already doing it. So the reality is that we, as anything, any new technological breakthrough, we embrace that. We see how we can integrate it and maximize it, especially if it has to do with improving processes, improving our knowledge of the customer, and basically allowing us to deliver the experience in a better way. We've done already a couple of things, like we integrated recently a company, and we, for the integration of the websites, we use AI to populate that in a much faster way than it would have been done. In digital campaigns, we're also using that to maximize where you open or you close sometimes those campaigns to maximize the performance. In general, we embrace that. Obviously, we're cautious that is a new technology, that there's a lot of regulation that's still going on, and we're doing tests, but also very observant at how the evolution of the technology and the regulation is going.
Raúl?
For me, the answer is very easy. It's everywhere. In the revenues, in the cost, in the customer experience, in the knowledge of the customer. I think that I remember years ago, many years ago, when I was in an event and the people was talking about mobile, and I thought, mobile, I think it's important. You can talk, doesn't matter where you are, but I never expect how many things we are doing with the mobile now. Our life is in the mobile. Now, I think that the AI will be a more drastic change in our lives. I think that everything will change, in my opinion. And I think that the AI with the data will be related with the brain, and they will try to analyze which is the behavior of the customers, have more knowledge than never before, and the impact to the people will be absolutely adapt to each person. I think we have now close to 40 different projects. For instance, we have a very funny one that is, we try to know which is your valuation about this hotel, the customer satisfaction, before you arrive to the hotel. We only have 80% of success, but 80% we know which is the customer satisfaction before you arrive to the hotel. Or we try to analyze the cancellation. Who is the person that will cancel the reservation for trying to do something with this person? But it's in many, many applications. I think this is clearly, for me, related with the brain is the future.
All right. So you have to follow the Phocuswright conference, because I think that's the argument of the whole day. Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Raúl. Thank you for your time, and have a nice conference.
It's a pleasure.